Coming up on the HR Big Meat podcast.
By the time I went back, I felt so vulnerable. It was like somebody had like taken a cheese grater through all my skin and then occasionally would throw salt at me. Like that's how like burned I felt by this whole experience, like so vulnerable. But people look at me and never would have known that. But that's literally how it felt. And every conversation felt like, here's another bit of salt. And and I'd literally be like, I don't know how I wasn't wincing like every conversation I had.
Welcome to the HR Big Meat podcast. This is the place where we amplify the voices of women in HR and have honest conversations about what it really means to work in this profession so that nobody has to internalise the idea that they are the problem. We are all about you having sustainable impact without compromise. So expect real stories, just a smattering of swear words, a few uncomfortable truths, and everything that you'd hope from something that is proudly not like normal HR. Are you ready to be a human's resource? Great, let's jump right in. This week on the HR Big Meat podcast, I'm joined by the brilliantly colourful Michelle Hartley. She is a speaker, a coach, burnout advocate, and all-round breath of fresh air, actually, in the HR world. In our conversation, Michelle shares her experience of burnout, what she calls beiging herself out of existence in corporate HR, and the tiny acts of rebellion that helped her reconnect with herself again. We talk about hustle culture, fitting in, leadership, identity, and why so many women in HR are quietly disconnected from themselves in the pursuit of credibility. Expect honesty, swear words, of course, and probably the strongest argument you've ever heard for sparkly nail polish. When your conversation starts behind the scenes with, are we swearing? You know it's going to be a good one. Like, have you met us? So yeah, let's put that warning straight up from the beginning, shall we? There's probably going to be swear words. We'll try and keep them to like the less offensive ones, I reckon.
Yeah, I mean, we might teach you a few new ones, but broadly, yeah, let's just stick to the best ones.
Let's just stick to the best ones. I'm excited for this conversation. I always have many laughs with you, Michelle, and I appreciate you, as always, being up for this and being up for sharing your story. And we're also behind the scenes trying to work out how we actually first met each other, but neither of us could remember.
I actually can't, and do you know what? It makes me sad that I can't, because I would consider my life to be much emptier without you in it. So I feel like I should have remembered that moment.
Wow,
and I can't.
I am pretty amazing.
You are. I don't know why you're laughing. You fucking are.
I don't know how it happened, but I'm pleased that it did also, because you're pretty much just a staple part of my life now.
Yes, I would 100% agree that we are like sisters from another mister.
100%.
I love our chats.
Yeah. So let's have a good one now. Could you imagine if this one was rubbish?
Oh my god. I think we should make it shit just for the lols.
Yeah, let's do it.
Come to the most beigest chat you could ever possibly imagine.
The future of work and AI.
Talk to me about GP.
No. Not happening. So what are we going to talk about? Well, let's start with HR Big Meat first time round, first edition, which was 2022. So we're talking 4 years ago now, which is ridiculous. And in this series, this podcast series, I'm starting off with like speakers, mostly from the very first year of the HR Big Meet, and doing a bit of like, what did you talk about? And then a bit of an update. So I looked at your slides before we chatted, because I wanted a refresher of like, what was the content? And there was one slide, and it was the word beige against like a rainbow kind of glitter.
As soon as you said I've checked your slides, I was like, I hope you're not going to lie to me now, because I had one slide.
One slide. It was one slide. So I've got zero context other than remembering that you were great on the day to remember what the story was. But that, so the first HR Big Meet was the first time it ever happened. It was a new concept, and essentially it was people coming along and sharing their vulnerable stories in the pursuit of helping other people with theirs. So what was the story that went with beige? Do you remember?
Well, the HR Big Meet was the first time I'd ever spoken about my burnout publicly. Like, I think I'd done
Was
some like
it?
sneaky little breadcrumbs about it on my LinkedIn, but I never really said the thing. So that was the first time I ever properly spoke about my burnout. So my whole story was about burnout, how there was a theme of like hustle, how in my corporate career I just beiged myself out of existence. So it was just, yeah, it was burnout. And then I did obviously the live binning of a few specific things. And I will never forget getting in on a bloody train to central London with a pink bin under my arm.
That's
And it's
amazing.
still in my office today.
It's the bin has been going for that amount of time as well. So
Yeah.
tell people about the bin in case they, for a reason, they're living under a rock and they don't know what you're talking about.
Well, and actually for the first time last week, I didn't do one. So the
Oh,
bin is basically my way of binning off all the shit from my week so that I can go into my weekend completely, I was going to say exorcised, completely exercising all my demons, and I can just go into a weekend and get drunk and have a nice time. And it started, it must have been 2021, you know, because if Big Meat was 2022, it was fairly well known by the Big Meat because people were like shouting at me, weren't they, for Jeremy Clarkson to go in the bin and stuff. So it must have been like fairly well known then. So I reckon the bin's probably been around for 5 years now. Um, and it's basically like a comedy skit slash rant, isn't it, every week. Of late this year I've been doing it much more like image based than video based because of my energy levels, but it still very much resonates with me every week to do my little like I've got to bin this shit off before I can live.
yeah. And that's amazing. You walk into London with a pink bin. Is it the same bin? You've still got now, same bin.
Yeah, and
Or
it's
do
not
you
used as a bin either.
hey?
It's not used as a bin either.
Just for the bin. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah, just
Amazing.
prop.
And like looking at you now, we commented on like the colours that we're both wearing. I see that we're both wearing big old earrings as well. The thought of you being remotely beige is just so alien because that's just not how I know you at all. Like to be. It also in the fact that you do things like the bin. 'Cause that's not a beige thing to be doing. And your Cards Against Humanity on a Monday morning, that's not a beige thing. I think the thing that we have in common is that we kind of like call stuff out with humour as well. We
Yes.
talk a lot about it messing around, but actually we're kind of like calling a lot of the stuff out that we see. So take us back to like the point that you were beige. Like what was life? Who would we have met back then when Michelle was beige?
Well, I find it really funny that even like that feels so alien to me now to think about my corporate life that it feels really odd to like cast my mind back and think about it. But basically, the way that I behave is I'd always worked in really challenging male dominated environments, and so when you work in really challenging male dominated environments, you kind of have to be like one of the boys. And so I remember somebody who I really admired at work said to me, "You need to dress like your peers," and that changed my outlook completely on how I showed up at work. So I did used to be a lot more brightly coloured in my early HR career days, and
Yeah.
then the same person also told me that patterns were frivolous. So
Frivolous.
so
Okay.
I basically like transformed into this like corporate beige being. So I was the grey navy suited human that just wore the same exactly the same stuff as the boys. So literally the boys would wear either a white shirt or a pale blue shirt, and that's what I would wear. And on casual Fridays they'd all wear like chinos and a white shirt or a blue shirt. So that's what I would wear because I was like, no, I've got to show up and be one of the boys. And if they notice my girlhood, then I will have lost credibility. And that's literally what happened to me, basically. So as soon as like any of them noticed anything, I remember once I had these, still got them somewhere, but like really cute little earrings, little studs, and they were like Michelle pink, so the Michelle colour pink, and they were just little buttons. And I bought them because the teachers at my nephew's school, nephew, and my nephew's school were like making them just for like the school sales. So I bought them because I was like, oh, these are lush and they're so cute. And I wore them to work one day, and this like scene leader was like, oh, are those buttons? And that was it. Never wore them again.
Oh,
So that's what I was like. Anybody noticed a piece of jewelry, I'd never wear it again. Anybody mentioned anything about a scarf, never wear it again. Like I just beiged myself out of existence, basically. Don't get me wrong, I was still like a sweary human. And I'm well known for that sweary status, but yeah, the way that I like looked, felt, and behaved was very much like beige corporate robot. And I remember you introducing me to the stage, and I remember there were like 2 steps coming up, and I was like, just don't fall, don't fall, don't fall. And then you would introduce me, you were literally like still on the stage looking out, and you were like, she's written this for me to read, but I don't believe it. She's described herself as a well seasoned HR professional with a background in manufacturing. And I remember you going, you were manufacturing? And you're like, I can't see it. And I was like, yes, mate.
Yeah. And what was that at the time, that like beigeness? Was that fitting in, or was that not standing out? Or was that the same thing? I don't know.
That's a good question, actually. I think for me, it was a bit of both. I do think those two things are different. I think it was a bit of both. I felt like I wanted to fit in. Uh, Equally, I didn't want to stand out. Like, I remember I had a phone call from um, the CFO of the global organization I worked for, because he just wanted to talk to me about something amazing that I'd done in the business. And I literally like slid down in my office chair and was like, I don't want you to know my name. This is really odd. I don't like it. Like really, really freaked
Really?
out about it. But yeah, it's really odd, isn't it? It's really strange. And I can't like that. You know, I don't know if you have this, but you like evolve, don't you? Like one evolves when you have a business, when you're an influencer, content creator, like it all evolves, doesn't it? As you get like used to stuff, or you get the stuff that you love, or that your audience loves, or whatever. And that feels to me like my corporate life feels to me like an entire lifetime ago. Like
Yes.
it's so odd to me now. Like I can't imagine ever going back to corporate. I can't imagine ever like dealing with the amount of shit
I
I had
know.
to deal with on the daily that was just ridiculous, like the most ridiculous stuff. And so, yeah, I'm much happier. I'm much happier now. I'm more me. But yeah, I can't imagine going
Yeah.
back.
And I see it a lot though in like with the women that I work with. Like the way you're supposed to be as a leader is a certain way, right? What you see as success is grey suit, pale shirt, kind of, and the behaviours that go along with that are very prescribed, and
Yeah,
like success in leadership looks a certain way, right? And so the women that I work with, I would resonate, I think, a lot with where you were, and I see it too. I always felt like, oh, I don't want to progress into that, because if that's how I need to be
yeah.
senior, then
I
that's
don't
not
want to
what
do
I
it.
want.
Yeah,
And that has, certainly for the women again that I work with, has consequences. They feel out of alignment, and they feel like they're working really hard and proving
yeah.
themselves and all of that kind of stuff. So, do you feel comfortable to talk about like the impact of that for you, in terms of what you also shared at the big meet as well?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, and I love that you also help people to kind of break out of that mold, because that's definitely my happy space now, which sounds weird. But it's my happy space to like help others step into their like authentic space.
Yeah,
Um yeah, so for me, um in corporate, I basically now when I look back at it, I just lost myself completely. Like I just had forgotten like who I was and what made me me. Like I was even corporate Michelle in like my relationship with my husband. Like it was really really weird. And now I am literally, quite literally, unapologetically myself and don't hide anything. I probably should hide some stuff. But yeah, so I basically lost myself completely, and I'm doing Kelly Swingler, who was also a speaker in the first year. I'm doing Kelly Swingler's Master Burnout Coach program. Her her burnout equation is basically toxicity minus sense of self equals burnout. And when I read that equation as part of like the training in Kelly's book, I was like, shit. Like if someone had showed me that a few years ago, I might not have even burned out,
yeah,
because like, it just suddenly like made sense. And I was like, oh my God, I lost myself. That's why I found it so hard to like set goals. That's why I found it so hard to know what I wanted or know what I needed, and it was always everybody else's needs because I didn't know who I was anymore, and I'd literally lost this entire identity. Um, and it weirdly broke me, and and again, it's so weird because I feel like I've just shifted so much now to think back to how I was then. Like, it really blows my mind that I had lost myself so massively in that time. But essentially, I was massively high performing at work, like smashing it out, all the high visibility projects, all the good stuff, saving the organization money, finding awesome talent, creating awesome programs, like literally delivering, delivering, delivering. And I had like a couple of scenarios that sort of, I guess, tipped me over the edge. So I think at the point when I was like what I would call a high performing senior leader delivering in the organization, I think I was probably at like 100% capacity. So I was like, it's just working, but you can hear the hums in the background of like
Yeah.
your brain synapses frying. And then my CEO, we shouldn't be laughing now because my CEO got very ill very quickly. So he was like my best friend at work, absolute bestie. The first person I think that ever really, I don't know, like believed in me, which sounds like a really fluffy thing to say, doesn't it? But he genuinely like didn't give a shit if I came in and I had a big fat cry because something had happened and I couldn't control myself. So I was so upset about it. He didn't care, like as in he wouldn't judge me for showing up with emotion, whereas every other boss I'd ever had would really like judge me, or I would feel like they'd really judge me for showing up with emotion. And so he and I like created the organization as it stands today, or 7 years ago now, but as it stood at the time. And we had been through some shit together in terms of like turning over the right members of staff, bringing in new talent, creating the business plan, creating the models, all the things that existed to run the business we created together. And so when he got ill, it was really quick, like really quick. I remember having some weird phone calls with him where I was like, you're not really making any sense, but maybe it's because you're in America and you're jet lagged. Like, so, you try and always like do it down, don't you? And then he was due to come back to the UK, land in Heathrow, and then go straight out to Germany to our HQ to then do some other customer meeting. And in the end, I was like, you can't do it. I don't think you should do it. Something's not right. You're not well. I think you need to come home and come home. Like, and I'll cancel the customer meeting. So I went to our sales director. He cancelled the visit to Germany with this customer, and I said, right, come on then, you need to come home, sort of thing. And he made his way home and basically never came back. It was discovered that he had a brain tumor, which was hard enough. And I think what had happened is the pressurized cabin had put pressure on the brain tumor. So all the symptoms that he was
Wow.
experiencing but hiding all came to fruition because of the flight. Um, and so then he never came back to work in a work capacity. And I remember like it was just so sudden, like, and you're just like, oh my God, I can't comprehend this. Like, maybe it's nothing, maybe it's just migraines or jet lag, or and it wasn't. It was a series of like horrible, horrible news then. So it was like instantly off work. So that instantly you get the goosebumps and like, oh, this isn't great. And no
Yeah.
CEO that I have ever worked with has ever just accepted a sick note.
Yes.
Then it was brain tumor. Then it was inoperable. Then it was terminal. And it was just like literally being the person who's already frying the synapses at 100%. I was literally like, felt like I was being punched in the face, just, one thing after another after another. And of course, when you're in HR, you're the one breaking the hearts all across the organization because you're the one telling the news. You're the
Yeah.
one supporting the people that are upset about it. You're the one like holding the insurance conversations and stuff like that. And I found that I think was probably like the straw that broke me. It was just too much. Like, I couldn't like hold the pain of it. It was really odd. Like, I was just like this, and I remember saying to Ray, like, I don't feel grown up enough for this. Like, where's the adult? And then I had an entire organization of people going, she's the adult, and
You're
I
the
was like,
adult.
what the fuck? But yeah, that basically just destroyed me. It just destroyed me. And then I think it was like because he passed in early 2019. And then what got me more, and I've had the same actually with like family bereavements of late, is where life goes on, and that's the worst part. I think I got to the part in that. So he died in the January, and in the September was when I burned out, and I was like, how are we still lifing? Like how? And I honestly couldn't like countenance like. this isn't important anymore. You know, and you get like the
Yeah.
epiphany moment when somebody really important dies. You just get this epiphany moment, like, do you know what? This is shit. Like, why am I fucking about with a spreadsheet when this person has literally died? Like, so I couldn't like connect all these big feelings and all this stuff, and then all the high performing stuff. It just felt like kaput. Like, and I remember texting the new CEO, my boss, and I just said I'm not going to make it because I can't stop crying, basically. Like, I've literally cried my makeup off 3 times today. I'm not putting it on again. Like, this is a sign. I just need to stop. Um, and actually, you know, your story about driving the car where you talk about like the appropriate level of injury so that you don't have to work. I used to have those exact same conversations with myself every commute to work, every day in that January to September period. And I used to have to take my makeup bag with me because I get, dolled up and ready for work, leave the house, and I'd cry all the way to work. So I have to do makeup again in the car park. Then I'd probably cry when I was in the toilets at work, and I'd do it again when I got to work. Like, it just, and how now, if I had a day where I just could not stop crying, that would be a massive red flag for me. Like,
Yeah.
but I was just pushing on, just carried on,
Yeah.
just
You
kept doing
just
the
keep
things.
going, don't you? It's
Yeah,
such a. I don't know what that is. What is that? What do you think that was for
no
you?
idea, no idea.
No idea. Mine, there was a lot for me, I suppose, around like, now I've had my own version of not the same, but that story of how do I get time off work, basically. It was
Yeah,
like, well, I can't admit that I'm struggling. I can't admit that I need this time off because I'm HR and HR doesn't do this. What does it mean for my future career? Does it mean that I'm a failure? Does it mean I'm not capable? And there's all these stories that we tell ourselves around why we can't listen and respond to the very obvious need that we have, either for time off or for some like external support. It's yeah, it's a weird old thing, and I know people are still doing it now, right? It's just such an odd relationship with our work, and how our work means so much about who we are and what we're capable of. It's massively fucked up,
yeah,
I
it
think.
really is. And I remember thinking, like, I can't take time off. Like, it will all go to shit if I take time off. Oh my
Yes,
god, like
yeah, that
everything's
too.
gonna fall. I am
Yeah.
literally holding the entire organization up in my hands. It's all gonna go to shit. And and I say this a lot actually to people who find me for coaching because they all seem to fit a certain experience in life which is similar to mine.
Yeah.
And I say it a lot. I'm like, what do you think will happen if you don't go to work tomorrow? And what would happen if you got run over by a bus tomorrow? Like, I can guarantee you the organisation would continue, money would still be made, and they would be advertising your job probably within a couple of weeks. That's the horror of it. But we
Like
still
with your
carry on.
CEO,
Yeah,
presumably.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, and I don't know what it was. And for me, I think there's probably like some therapeutic stuff in there to talk about with my therapist. But there's something about like I've always been, or had up until that point, always been the person that just pushed through all the time. Like push, push, just constantly push, keep
Yeah.
going, keep going, keep going. You can have a break at the weekend or you can have a holiday. And that's what I would do in corporates. I'd have these big, lovely, glamorous holidays at the end of every year in December because that was the only time I could take off where I would not be hounded and I could come back and I wouldn't have had 1,000 emails. And it was just bananas, absolutely bananas. And even now when I'm talking about it, I don't know if this happens to you, like my stomach's like tighty, tighty, like it used to be every day, just even talking about it. And this is now like it's 6 years since I left and it's still stuck with me. That's mad.
It's bad, and I think people underestimate, like how impactful like the work experience is, and going through something like that. Like I've clients who are like, "Well, I know I was at burnout, but why am I not better 6 months later?" It's
Yeah,
like, well, because it's stored in your body, loves, and
exactly.
it's that, yeah, having that same physical reaction. I still
Mm,
get like certain behaviors, certain words, tones of voice still take me back completely to really toxic environments at work. I think it sticks with you because it's a safety thing, right? You know that you've been completely broken by something. So like why would you not be looking out for that? It's
Exactly. It's protection, isn't
yeah,
it? You kind of then want to protect yourself. But I can't
yeah,
even, and this is 6 years on, I can't even drive past my old workplace. Like that's how, like it's still live for me. That's how live it is I still can't drive past where I used to work.
yeah.
That's bananas, isn't it? Like,
Well, no, because of what you went through, but it angers me that work can do that to people. And
yes,
there's so many of us walking around with places we can't go or
yeah,
words we can't hear or things that we
yeah.
can't
Or people that you can't see in the supermarket
see.
because you're like, oh my
Yeah,
God, I'm going to cry. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Still, yeah, exactly. And do people know they have that impact? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't
I
think that
don't think
they.
they do.
I really still believe that people don't intentionally go out and create that kind of impact.
True, yes.
There'll be some who do on power trips and stuff like that, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's um, where am I going with that? I don't know.
No, no, I get
I
it.
like
No, people don't do it deliberately. Like, I can probably think of one leader in one role who did do it deliberately. Like they literally loved to throw grenades and thwart everybody just for fun.
yeah,
Like, but that's in that all of that time and all of those jobs. There's one person I can think of that would deliberately do that for sport. But yeah, no, I don't think I'm with you. I want to think, and I do think that people, leaders, people managers, CEOs, HR people, don't go to work to deliberately make somebody broken. Like I don't think people do that, but I think what they're not cognizant of is where that person is. Like nobody ever said to me like, Michelle, your work rate is phenomenal. Like, are you okay?
yeah,
Nobody ever did that ever, and it was so weird, so
yeah.
weird.
Because we're the ones doing that as HR.
Yeah,
Like what you said about like, oh, she's the grown up. That resonates so much with me because I so often sit in meetings with like really senior leaders, and they'd be like, well, what do you think we should be doing about like
and you're like,
yeah, who are you talking to? I'm like 20 years younger than you. All I've
yeah,
got is like empathy at my disposal compared to like your years of wisdom. So like, what do
yeah.
you mean? What do we do?
Jeez.
It's such a you're almost like the emotional support like for everyone else going through their shit, aren't you?
Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
and yeah, no one's then asking you like, well, we know that you were really close to that person who just has died really quickly. Like, what's
yeah.
going on for you? It just
Literally, no one said, "How are you?" I mean, thank God they didn't, because I probably would have had a proper meltdown at work. But no one said, "I know you're really close. How are you doing?" No one, and
no
that's
one.
that's that's sad. That makes me sad. Even today, it makes me sad. And with with the Geek Squad now, like we've got a massive, well, because you're in it, the feral WhatsApp. Like we are constantly saying to them, like, hang on, this sounds like a lot. Are you okay? Or what's happened? Are you all right? And I think the reason people love the squad is because that's what we do. We show basic human decency,
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
shouldn't be exclusive and new.
It's not, is it? It's not rocket science to be kind.
Ridiculous,
It
ridiculous.
really is ridiculous, but it's so lacking. And I don't know if we're going to solve that in this conversation within our workplace. But um, so how did you go about rebuilding yourself from where you were to who we see in front of us today or here? We
Um,
don't watch.
yeah, I still talk about this a lot actually because it's still really relevant for me even now. Is I took an approach of like micro moments and 1% things. So basically, it was the tiniest things that I could do to make myself feel happier, more comfortable, more myself, and it was almost like a secret mission, basically. Because by the time I went back, I felt so vulnerable. It was like, honestly, it was like somebody had like taken a cheese grater to all my skin and then occasionally would throw salt at me. Like that's how like burned I felt by this whole experience. Like so vulnerable. But people look at me and never would have known that. But that's literally how it felt. And every conversation felt like here's another bit of salt. And, and I'd be literally be like, I don't know how I wasn't wincing like every conversation I had. So went back to work, went back way too soon, um, because I was a dick. And because I went back too soon, learned friends who might be listening or watching, because I went back too soon, I burned out 2 more times. So the lesson is burn out once, do it properly, and never do it again.
Never do it again. Wow.
So take time to recover. And a lot of my coachees are like, they'll say, "Oh, but when I feel like I've got about 40% of the tank, I'll go back." I'm like, "No, you go back when you've got 100% in the tank." And you can see the light bulbs kicking in where they're like, "Oh shit." And I think I went back when I had 10% in the tank. I basically went back when I stopped feeling like I was having a heart attack and I stopped crying. That's when I went back, and I was nowhere near even 20%. I was like max 10%. So when I went back, I needed like little secret comfort things that would get me through each day and remind me of who I am and what I've come through and all that sort of stuff. So initially it started as nail polish, and I just find it so hilarious now because my nails are always ridiculous, like always ridiculous, and they make me so happy. And so when I went back to work, I'd always have my work one. You'd be unsurprised to hear, knowing I was beige, it was always a French manicure, no sparkle, no nothing, always just a plain French manicure, always fingers and toes, all the same. And so when I went back, I remember going back and I had my little manicure sash, and I was like, let's just do a little bit of sparkle. And my my nails lady is my sister-in-law, and she nearly fell off her chair. She was like, "Wait, what? You want some sparkle?" Like, she was like over the top excited. Now she hates me because she's like, "What bloody ridiculous design have you bringing me today?" But it is the most ridiculous thing. It was literally like a shimmer top coat on top of a plain French, and that was my first little like act of rebellion where I was like, "This is me," and like nothing happened because I had a sparkly top coat. Nobody thought any different of me. They still kept abusing me the same way that they were before. The expectations were the same, but I felt better. And so then it became, what else can I do? What other things can I bring in? And so it started with like, I'd wear a scarf. And I remember the scarf, and it's still in my cupboard now. You'll laugh. It was beige. So it's a beige, like tan scarf, but it had, get ready, blue leopard print on it. And that, honestly, I remember sitting in meetings thinking, "Oh my god, everybody's looking at me. This is too much. It's too much." So hilarious. And then it basically built from there. So my 1% built from there. And I was talking to somebody yesterday on a pod about this very thing because he said to me, "Oh, your top looks." It was this top. "Your top looks so lush. It's so fluffy." And I was like, "Oh my god, that was part of my big recovery thing. Was I was wearing stuff that was really tactile for me because I couldn't bear like restrictive stuff. I couldn't bear scratchy stuff. I couldn't bear starchy stuff. I wanted comfort and I wanted like cozy, something that I could just reconnect to myself with
Yeah.
in clothes. And that's where it started. So, little by little, moment by moment, these things started to kind of all add up. And so now when I talk to people about burnout, I'm obsessed with like micro moments, 1% moments, because in a time when you literally feel like you've been flayed alive and covered in salt, like you've got to do the 1% things that will just get you to the nearest nice thing. Like, and that's what I did. Just find the nearest nice thing every time.
I love that as an approach. That's such a, just those small steps. Quite a lot of the time you think, well, to get out of this situation, I've got to change everything about my life, and I've got
Yeah.
to, run away. And the amount of people who are, I'm going to go and open a cafe, and in
Oh my god, I was going
Scotland,
to say that. Yeah, I'm going to run away to Guatemala and do a coffee bar on the
yes,
beach.
yes, like change everything about your life. But it's
Yes.
not that you necessarily need to change everything about your life. It's not even that you necessarily need to leave HR as a profession if you're finding yourself finding it difficult. It is all about how you feel within the job that you're doing, because I think sometimes people can leave I know I did. I left a job twice, 2 jobs, in this like search of feeling good again, and it was never about the job really. It was about how I felt within it. And I think that's the key, isn't it? Is doing those little things for yourself, and changing how you feel about it. And the more little things that you do, like that 1%, the more you then kind of realize, well, no one died. Like, oh, it wasn't terrible. I didn't die. Like, I was okay. I wore my scarf with the leopard print on.
Yeah.
And you build from there, right? And I mean, every time I see you now, you are literally top to toe colour. Like, like you say,
I
even
am,
from your
yeah.
nails, you really are. Which is just, and so how, and what difference does that make for you?
There's a couple of things for me. One is it makes me happy. Like I am the original dopamine dresser. Like it makes me happy if I'm wearing clothes that I love, if they're bright, if they are colours that really like light me up. Like I love it. So there's the kind of instant like it makes me happy. I'm a dopamine dresser. There's also like a secret mission with my clothes, and that is when you wear like bright, leery clothes. Um, you don't have to do small talk because people will come up to you and they'll go, "Oh my god, I love your shirt," or "Oh my god, your shoes are amazing," and it just means you get to skip all that crappy small talk and you can just get into a really good conversation. And so for me, there's almost like a protective thing where I can show up in my leery clothes and I know that people will talk to me about something that's really easy to talk to about. So that massively helps me. It helps the inner introverted Michelle have a little bit more space and energy to conserve for other stuff. But also, I love the joy of it, right? And whenever anybody, like when you were talking about it, then you lit up because you were talking about it. Like every time I see you, you've got bright colours, you have a great big smile on your face. I'm like, this, it's the joy. I love the joy that it brings. And like I was in London last week for an event. And two people in London, like off of London, who all hate each other and don't speak to each other and don't make eye contact. Two people said to me, completely separate, like areas of the city, said, "Oh my god, your outfit's lovely. Like, I love your outfit. I love your colours." And one of them was like a middle-aged white man, for God's sake, who was not. He was not hitting on me, by the way. But like literally, like a middle-aged white man, he was like, "Oh my god, I love your outfit. The colour's amazing. Like, keep going." And I was like, "Ah, I love you." It was so, so nice. And it just, that, I was like, holy shit, someone's spoken to me in London. This is epic. Um, but that, I love that. I love that it like provokes joy in other people as well. And
Yeah,
that's part of it, I think, is I like that it shares a bit of joy around.
amazing. I think I'm going to ask you a really big question, which is
Ooh.
because it's in my head, so I'm going to ask it and see how you answer. What do you, what wisdom do you have access to now that you didn't have at HR Big Meet One?
Ooh.
It's a big one because there's probably
That is
lots.
a big one. Yeah, there's loads. I feel like it's been another like life shift. So I feel like when when I was at the HR Big Meet, I remember like feeling so fucking petrified of getting on the stage and so petrified of talking about something so personal. But now I absolutely love it. Like it's my favorite thing. Give me a microphone. Oh my god, I'm off. Like let's just have some
Same.
fun and have a laugh and just like do some fun stuff.
Yeah,
So that massively has changed. I think there's a big bit for me about like because as soon as you said wisdom, I was like, oh my god, it's like embodied wisdom somehow that I don't think I had before the big meet, which sounds like the weirdest thing ever to say. At the big meet, I think I had like 8,000 followers, and I remember thinking like, "Oh my god, this is it! Like this is the big time." And now I've got 37,000, and I talk a lot of shit, but it feels really like embodied, connected me. And if you think about like 4 years ago, I felt like I was doing that 4 years ago, and then 4 years on, I'm like 10 levels up from that. So I feel like there's something about like really embodying, living the things that you talk about, which I think has been a massive shift for me. Um, but also the same on the flip side, right? So I have had to learn some very hard lessons about my hustle culture that lives in my head because I was doing that. I basically moved hustle culture from in house to hustle culture in my own biz and, broke myself all over again because what else do you do for fun? So I think there's something about like, I don't know, like tuning in. And again, it sounds a bit fluffy, doesn't it? But like tuning into like my needs probably for the first time ever. And I really do think that the big meet was part of that for me because I don't know, I kind of realized that I wasn't alone. I realized that there are loads of cool people in HR doing cool stuff and I had felt so alone before then. Like it made such a massive difference for me. And you know this because I've said this to you face to face, but like you literally paved the way for all of us and our events right now because I think if you hadn't have done it, I'd have carried on kind of half consulting, half gobbing off on LinkedIn, like wouldn't really have probably pushed the Geek Squad to grow as much as it has. I probably wouldn't have, pushed on with my program and stuff, because I probably would have just kept topping up with random consultancy jobs, not thinking about an event that could really transform the HR profession. And that's what you did for us. Like you made that a thing for everybody else, and that's absolutely amazing. Like, it makes me feel emotional. Like, that's amazing. And I don't think you give yourself enough creds. I think it's amazing.
Probably don't, mate. Why would we do that? We don't do what we tell other people to do, Michelle.
Well, exactly.
Why would I celebrate myself? No, I think you're so right. I think it's and it's great, just back to where we were to now, and there's more options for people. There's just more options.
Yeah.
Like, we talk about the future of HR, the future of work constantly, and yet we're still doing things we're having the same challenges we had 20 years ago. Like, give me a break, do something different. And I think that's what we're standing for, is like, just stop fitting yourself in that bloody HR box and be more you, and let's see what impact that might have, both for you and the people around you, right? Because, oh my God, this is obviously another episode in itself. Thank you for your kind words. I appreciate it, and celebrate all of your success, of course. And as a final question, if there's someone listening, one woman listening who resonates with your story, but doesn't know what to do next, what's your best advice you could give them?
Ooh. I would obviously come and hang out with me, you, Kirsty, anyone else who is pushing the boundaries of what HR is. But I would say to listen, and this sounds a bit woo-woo, but actually this is what I've learned, is go sit somewhere quiet and just tune in to what is going on in your body. Because if your stomach is doing the roly-polies and you feel tight and tense and you can't stop wearing your shoulders and earrings, something's not right, and you need to tune into that. And I think I spent a really long time ignoring my body because I just thought it was disconnected from my brain. So I just kept pushing. And actually, if this is resonating for you now, then now is the time to just tune in and listen to what your body's trying to tell you, because your body knows if you're in a danger zone and you need to get out or you need to do something different. I remember tuning in when I was in corporate and I was like, I just need sleep. I just need some sleep. And of course that wouldn't have fixed me, but actually that probably would have helped. That hustle on that day would have just taken me down. I never did it, but that tuning in is really important. So I think tune in, notice what your body is trying to tell you, and think about 1% ways that you can be more yourself every day.
Love it. Thank you so much for sharing your story again, and for being a part of my world.
Thanks, mate. I love that we're still mates as well. This makes me happy. Imagine if we didn't speak to each other and you'd be like, you have to come on my podcast because you're in the first HR Big Meet, but I hate your face.
I mean, that could be true. It's not.
Well, we're really good at faking liking each other.
Yeah, good actors. That's what HR is, though, right? Getting on
totally.
With everyone, hating them all. On that note.
Bye, mate.
Bye. Now, let's make this mean something. As ever, at the end of each conversation, I like to give us something to do, because not only is it one of my biggest bugbears how much we love to absorb information in HR and yet do very little with it. I won't go off on one. Actually, it is in the doing that things really change for us. So I hope you've enjoyed the conversation. Of course I do. But what I want the most for you is to take something from it and to do something different. And there were potentially a million different routes I could go down with this section. But one of the things that stuck with me from the conversation with Michelle was this thing that she said about believing everything would go to shit if she wasn't present, if she wasn't there doing her job. And I recognize that in myself when I was in HR, and I see it in a lot of the clients I have now. What also exists at the same time is a feeling of helplessness and a feeling of not being able to influence things and to make change and have the impact that we want to. So on the one hand, we believe to our core that everything will go to shit if we weren't there. And on the other hand, we believe that we've got no control over anything at all. So that's an interesting paradox for me. And so the reflection after this session for you is, where are you either overestimating or underestimating the influence that you have? And firstly, what evidence do you have for that? And secondly, what could be possible if you had a more balanced view over the influence that you actually do have? Oh, I love these questions. Enjoy. Let me know how you get on. I want to know where you get to. If you have enjoyed this episode, can I ask you a favour? Please interact, like, leave a review, share it with your friends. Do whatever you can to help get this in front of other women in HR who might need to hear the stories that we're sharing. Thank you. I appreciate you.